Hi, my name is Ed Frebowitz. I was a touring monitor engineer for 22 years, and I also spent a fair amount of time as a system technician for many regional and national sound companies. So I spent a good portion of my career traveling on the road as a band engineer, which means I was employed directly by the band. And a lot of the bands that I worked with didn't carry PA, and this is pre-in-ear monitors. So every day we would step off the bus and we would go into a nightclub, and there would just be gear there, and we'd have to sort through it every day. And you're always stepping into somebody else's idea of what audio is, or a situation that is not ideal. A lot of times things are broken. It's a hodgepodge of mix and match. A lot of times a local production company has been hired to bring audio in, and they're usually like the lowest bidder. So I would find myself in situations where I spend a fair amount of my time trying to make things work. And so I'm not very interested in a brand name. I don't care what the name on the speaker is. I don't care what kind of amplifier it is. I don't even care what it looks like. I just want to know how it's going to sound, and when my band shows up, if I'm going to be able to make it happen for them. So the other thing that happens is you learn to make garbage sound reasonable, or even pretty good. And so you learn to tweak, and you learn to just make stuff happen. And the whole idea is that when you have a hodgepodge of gear, you try to make the stage happen and make it sound even across the stage, or at least consistent. And that's always a struggle. And sometimes it's even a struggle when you have all the same, let's say, wedges on stage. So one of the things I noticed today while listening to your product line is that from the like the SAT 3s all the way up until the big T line, I think it's called, there is a consistent sound that exists. So there, I guess what you could say is in the web industry they might call it a scent. So there's this scent that runs through the whole line, and it's very consistent. It's everything's very smooth, and it's very warm, and it's very well-rounded. I mean, there are boxes that have unique characteristics, but overall, even those boxes still fit well into the line, as opposed to other manufacturers where, well, we have a plastic box and this is the way it sounds, and then we have these small install boxes and this is the way they sound, and everything is classified a little different. I just was really impressed by how I was able to listen to the whole line, and I didn't really feel like I was listening to individual segments of your product line. I just thought that if I have a line array and I install your line array somewhere, I could easily take another box from your line and use it as an underhang on a balcony or something like that, and it's going to fit in and it's going to work. There was almost no distortion. There's a real clarity to your product line, and we talked briefly about that KS Audio believes in the closed loop, which means your amplifier, your plug-in processing, and then your boxes to provide the maximum potential that the box can provide. And so on that theory, I think that you guys deliver what you say that you're going to deliver, which is high quality sound, super low distortion, and the reproductions of the music that we were listening to were phenomenal. It was exciting. I've been in a lot of situations where very rarely as a band engineer, when we have walked off the bus, a PA system didn't have to be messed around with, that there wasn't some type of issue. So I think that in a live environment, if your PA functions and performs the way it did today, that it's going to be, it's like hitting a home run. It's going to be a 10. It's going to go up against other brand names and it's going to do well. But I've heard L-Acoustic boxes, and I've heard DMB boxes where the left side doesn't sound like the right side. And it's not a closed loop, and the technicians don't know what they're doing. And I think that with your plug-and-play technology and the way your approach to building boxes makes it really easy. I'm a big fan of the Claire Brothers. The 12 AMs I think is a phenomenal wedge, but there's an Electro Voice wedge that comes in around the $600 range that I think is an absolutely phenomenal wedge, but it doesn't really compare to the stereo pair that we listen to. I'm not sure what the T4M. That was just that reacted really well to the microphone. Wherever I moved them at that high gain level, the wedge was real stable. In the upper mids, that 1.2, 2.5 range, it was a little bitey, which is what you want for the presence, but it wasn't feeding back. And nowhere along the line did I feel like I absolutely had to cut lower mids or make a cut. I think that was a good starting place, and it was really loud. They're electric. They're real dynamic wedge, and that's what you want. You don't want something that's real flat and like one-dimensional. You want a wedge that's going to, surround you, and that's the whole idea of mixing wedges. Is the audio surrounds you and it creates an environment, and that's what I felt that you could do that with those wedges. You guys are interested in marrying the box with its environment is, I think, what you do, and so that the box performs in it just performs as best as it can, I guess is the way to say it, and that we don't have to go and look and do any error correction on a console or in processing or external EQ. You guys consider that our amplifiers and our drivers are matched with our boxes, then our boxes are matched to the room, and we take measurements, and that's the way we ensure high quality sound. But something else that you also said at the very end of the day is, the fact that you don't have a repair shop here, I think speaks volumes. There's something to be said about that. So the reliability factor, you said, I think you shipped 5 boxes back to Germany in the past 3 years, which is phenomenal. And there's a 2-year guarantee. So it pretty much says this stuff's going to work, and we guarantee it.